World Trigger came back for a season 2. And it was a short season. I'd say it was a core, which is interesting. It was 12 episodes, and at the end of the 12th episode, there was like a little pop-up saying there was going to be a World Trigger season 3 in the fall, which to me would just be a second core, but they want to call it season 3. So before I get into this, before I get talking about the season, I always want to introduce more people to World Trigger, but there is some caveats. So first of all, if you're going to get into World Trigger now, I would probably recommend the manga before the anime. The reason why is I'd say the first 25 episodes of the anime have some really annoying things about it. The OP is really good, but before the OP, there's usually 2 to 5 minutes of recap every single episode. In the first season, this is not a problem in the second season. They threw that out, thank God. So you got a lot of filler per episode, and I think someone did the math a long time ago, and you might get like 15 minutes of content per episode between the OP, the recap, and the ED, the ending. And then I think they also do a goofy thing at the end though too, on top of a preview. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So if that annoys you, read the manga. It's you can get it Shonen Jump, the $1.99 service that anybody can get to. You can also read Black Clover, Dr. Stone, a bunch of other cool stuff. But it's there. Second problem. The author of this manga has health problems, and my heart goes out to him. Really, it's apparently a spinal issue up in their neck that's pretty rough. So World Trigger can potentially suffer from the same issues that Hunter x Hunter has, right? Probably not to the extreme, or worse, Berserk, right? And Mira still publishes 2 or 3 chapters a year. At least he has been the last 4 years. But World Trigger hasn't been that bad. But World Trigger started out as a weekly manga in Shonen Jump, and then the health issue started, and then there was a 2-year hiatus. So there's 2 years with no content whatsoever, and this is why the anime originally stopped. They had planned to keep this anime going because it had its own filler season. It's very similar to what just happened to Black Clover, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So, author goes on hiatus for 2 years, and then when he came back, they switched him to Jump Squared, so it became a monthly. But even then, it produced more content than most monthlies I'm used to. You would basically get 2 or 3 chapters worth in one monthly based on how it used to be. But the problem is it's back on a mini hiatus again. So there hasn't been a chapter in the last 2 months, and apparently they're coming back I think next month. So if you're getting into World Trigger, there is a danger that it might never be completed. I'm assuming the fact that Toei Animation is so gung-ho for this anime, that they're continuing it in the fall, shows that they have good, they feel like it's going to be a good investment. It's going to keep going. What I would say, if I were in the author's position, if they could afford it, find somebody who can mimic your style, step back into a more writer, character design, and storyboarding position, and then go on that way. I think that's what Mira mainly does now. There is stuff that he still does by himself, but I think a lot of the work for Berserk is done by his assistants. So he might just be doing character design for new characters, storyboarding and writing, and then also drawing more on his own too. I don't know. I'm just speculating. So you guys, if you've heard other things you want to tell me I'm wrong, go for it. But yeah, so those are the dangers. Now the good things about World Trigger. So World Trigger is your typical shonen. It's a battle manga. But I would say it's not a bombastic one. It's not like Hero Academia. It's not like Black Clover. It's not like Fire Force. Its battles are probably more like JoJo in the sense that they're tactical. It's a thinking man's game, and thus is the reason why the main character is so appealing in this anime or manga, because he is a very weak fighter, very weak. Like in this universe, I'm not going to spoil it too much. I will have a spoiler warning when I get into the second season, but I'm going to keep this light. And if you want to take off afterwards and go watch World Trigger, you should, or read it. But in this universe, there is a gland in everyone's body that produces an energy source called Trion. And to harness that Trion, they make this, what they call a trigger. And so I might butcher this because I don't completely understand how a trigger works. But when you activate a trigger, it supposedly takes your real body and puts it inside the trigger, and it's replaced with the Trion body. So when they transform, this is not really bombastic. It's just like the character puts on a uniform and they fight, and then they get whatever weapons that the trigger is designated to use. What I assume is happening with the trigger is that there's a big theme in World Trigger is multiple dimensions. What I think is happening is that your trigger forms a pocket dimension for your body to go into inside the device. You were replaced by the Trion version of yourself. So think about the Matrix in the real world. If you were able to produce a digital self in the real world, that's kind of how I look at it. And it's the struggles between Osamu, who's the weak main character, and I would say there's a second main character. I'd say there's two protagonists in this show. The next one is Yuma, who is what they call a neighbor. A neighbor is somebody who is from an alternate dimension, basically, and beings from these alternate dimensions have been flooding through and attacking Earth for, I don't know, a couple decades, basically. And the Earth was able to rally enough people to start a new organization called Border. And Border basically is like border patrol for other dimensions. And so these other dimensional forces sent these things called Trion soldiers through that kidnap people. And the whole point of Osamu wanting to become a part of Border is to find a friend of his. And eventually he links up with Yuma, who had come from another dimension to seek out somebody at Border who could help him with his problem. And I'm not going to spoil that, but Yuma is very powerful, but he's on a time limit. Every day he could be disappearing from this world. So it's these two that link up and they form a team with another girl named Chika, and then later on another character named Hughes. And the whole manga is focusing on this team, Takoma 2, and then the rest of the teams in Border. And this is what I would call a character manga. There's a lot of attention focused on the multiple different characters within Border. So it's very similar in a Black Clover into that, where you get multiple aspects from different Magic Knight squads. Same deal here in World Trigger. And so if you like Black Clover, I think you will like World Trigger. And it's funny I say that because I was watching World Trigger, and when World Trigger ended, Black Clover started, and Black Clover was my replacement for World Trigger. And because those dynamics are there, it was an instant pickup for me. And while everybody was hating on Black Clover, I was loving it because I'm like, oh, this is very similar. It's a main character who kind of sucks, who, like Osamu, is not powerful. Asa didn't have any magic, stuff like that. So it was an instant catch up for me. Also extremely powerful, just like Yuma. It had all these characteristics that are so similar. I don't know. So yeah, so that's my pitch for you to go check out maybe the first season of the anime. If you do watch the anime, it's not bad. It's just annoying. Go into the Crunchyroll comments. Somebody in there will tell you when the recaps are done. Okay? Just find that. Or go pick up a Shonen Jump subscription. They do not sponsor me. I think it's the best bang for your buck. You get quality translations and you have access to the entire catalog there for $1.99 a month. Go there, read chapter 1 and beyond, and go from there. So, all right, end there. Now I'm going to talk about season 2, and I'm going to do a little spoilers. So, I've talked about in other videos where I talk about World Trigger that where the first season of the anime left off was this portion of the manga where they're going through heavy rank battles, and rank battles is basically a tournament arc. The way Border upgrades its members to higher rank is you and your team have to survive and win rank battles and get enough points, And the reason why Osamu and his team are doing it is because they're trying to get a spot on the away team so they can go save Osamu's friend, save Chika's brother, and find a cure to the degeneration of Yuma over time. So the anime starts out where we don't see our main characters. The border is being attacked by another paramilitary force that is basically a mercenary group for Afrofractor. So the first 3 or 4 episodes is just pure bliss. One, you get to see how much the animation has improved versus season 1. Very good. There's new effects for Treon damage. So if somebody loses a limb, they have a new effect for how the Treon is being drained. Since I said this is a tactical battle manga, one of the aspects to this is that characters will be delimbed or getting damage on the side, and instead of blood you see the smoke come out, and what that represents is that Treon is leaking out, and over time it's like a poison dot or a bleed dot in Dark Souls. This person's going to be taken out, and when someone gets taken out right now, because it is a shonen, it's not too terribly bloody, the character gets bailed out and sent back to headquarters. So they have a new animation for that. The same composer, I didn't talk about this, same composer is back. One of the best things about World Trigger, the first anime, is its soundtrack is phenomenal, and they got that guy back, or group, or whoever, I don't know who does it, that whoever they are, they're really good at their job. That's back. So it isn't until about episode 4 or 5 where we get to see Osamu and Yuma happens, and the rest of the season is the rank battles for them to get beyond B rank, get the A rank, and the rank battles for their new member who is a neighbor called Hughes. And in between, you get to see one episode where Osamu convinces the council to allow Hughes, who was a captured general of Afrofractor, to join their party and stuff like that. So that's what the season really focuses on. There's not a lot of heavy story moments outside of that one episode where they're going to convince Hughes to join the team. It's all action, and it's really good. The team upped their game. The music's good. The battles are fun to watch. I enjoyed them more than I did reading the manga, because at this point in the manga I was really frustrated with rank battles, and that's only because of the time frame that we would have to wait. So because the chapters were so sparse, it's just like, oh my god, more rank battles, oh my god, more rank battles. And I don't blame it. The author has to finish this before moving on to the next thing, but thankfully in the manga, I think the rank battles are behind us. I will let you know next chapter. It looks like there might be another sort of test, maybe. But yeah, I imagine where season 3 in the fall starts, it's going to end close to where the manga's at right now. So if you want to wait and watch the anime before you get into the manga, you can do that and then get the manga afterwards, because it's going to be very near to where the manga is right now, especially with its current rate of release. So that's my pitch.